Well, hello, everybody. As you can see, I'm Tim over here in Las Vegas, and
I'm Sam. I'm up here in the PNW, Washington State.
That's right. So what we're doing is we're getting together because we wanted to sort of bring a West Coast flavor, and lack of a better term, right, to the Dice Tower, because we're both out west. So just our point of view about what's happening in the gaming industry, the gaming world, in conjunction with what they're doing out in Dice Tower East or Dice Tower.
That's awesome.
Yeah, some of you may not be aware or familiar with both of us. If you're new to the Dice Tower, if you've been around a while, you kind of know who we both are. We just want to give a little introduction about who we are, what we've been doing in the game industry, how we got involved in all this kind of stuff. And Sam, why don't you go ahead and start?
Okay. Well, my name is Sam Healey. I was actually the second co-host of the Dice Tower podcast way back in the day. It started with, of course, Joe Stedman, the legend, the myth. Well, actually, he's not a myth. He is the real person. He actually does exist. He lives in Georgia. They started a podcast, him and Tom and Joe did, and that's just kind of what they did. And I was just part of the gaming group at that point. And then there was a time where Joe had to leave to go back to America. He was getting a different job and all that kind of stuff. And so Tom needed somebody to take over the podcast then. So we did that. I was the co-host for the podcast for, I think it was about 100 episodes. Until Eric took over at about 100, about 150, I want to say, when Eric took over. That's where I kind of got started. And it was just me and Tom doing a podcast in Tom's living room, and there was not a whole lot of professionalism, should I say. There was just a couple of dudes with a hobby that they both liked, talking about it. So that was that, and that moved on. I actually moved to California for about a year, and from Korea, and then about a year after that, Tom moved to Florida, and we both kind of coincided there. We actually were interviewing for the same church and school combination, and we didn't know it until about 3/4 of the way through the interview process, when the person who was interviewing us got us all together on a stream. And so it was pretty fun to realize that we were both going back to the same place. And at that point, we started doing top 10s again together. And somewhere in there, Z started doing top 10s with us. And then that's when he, shortly after that, that's when Tom started doing the Dice Tower full time. And he brought Z on first. And then about 6 months after that, he brought me on. And then I was full time with the Dice Tower there in Florida for a while. And then in 2019, I had to move up here to the Pacific Northwest. I've worked for Mythic Games. I've worked for Monster Fight Club. I've worked for, I did some contract work for Dized, the tutorial app for board games. And I'm also doing things now with Love Thy Nerd, a group of guys and gals that basically hire themselves out to different publishers at conventions to help them run their booths. And so that's what I'm doing. And I'm also running my own channel. It's called The Flip Side of Board Game. This is actually my old logo. This is my new logo. It looks better. So I'm basically just a content creator with some contract work thrown in there. But we just do a lot of live streams on the channel. And we do a lot of live playthroughs. We do a thing called live reviews, where I review a game, but I'm able to interact with the people who are watching and have them ask questions, and I can answer them and that kind of thing. We do a lot of live playthroughs, live Q&As. We do a lot of giveaways as well. We're doing a monthly giveaway right now where we're giving away an all-in copy of the fabled Joan of Arc. That's what I do. I'm just basically a dude that's trying to make a living within his hobby.
Well, nothing wrong with that.
It.
It sounds fantastic.
What about you, Tim? What are you doing currently, and what have you done in the industry?
Well, okay, yeah, I'll kind of start off the same way you did. My intro, I guess, into the board gaming industry was I worked with Yellow for about 8 years. I was the convention coordinator, I guess you could say, for the demo team and doing all that. I did a little bit of the games behind the scenes, stuff like that. But that started around 2010, I believe. I got into that. And so that's where I met a lot of people, all you guys and stuff, going to all the conventions, running the booths and all that kind of stuff. And then I left Yellow, but in 2015, we started MeepleCon. Dave and I, started MeepleCon here in Las Vegas because we both were gamers, and we were like, how does Vegas, the entertainment capital of the world, not have a board game convention? So we
Right.
started that, and that's how I ended up sort of running into or being more familiar with you, Tom, and Z, because we asked you guys to come. And I think the first year Tom was able to come by just for a little bit to see us at MeepleCon, but then years 2, 3, and 4, both you, Tom, and Z came, and then you guys have been a part of it. And then year 5, when we partnered up with Tom to become Dice Tower West.
Yeah.
Then in 2016 is when I opened up Meepleville Board Game Cafe. I was the first board game cafe in the entire state of Nevada, actually. Not only just the city of Las Vegas, but the entire state of Nevada. So I opened that, and actually in just a couple of hours, I will be doing the final paperwork. So I took on some partners in October, and now I'm stepping out. I'm selling it, so they'll be taking it over. So I'll be doing the final paperwork. So I will no longer.
Wow.
Yeah,
You're gonna be free and clear, huh?
I'll be moving on, free and clear.
All right.
So I did that for a long time, and then let me see other things. So what I'm doing now is still running Dice Tower West. Coming up, it's coming up in March. This will be our 11th year between MeepleCon and Dice Tower West together. But I also was very, very fortunate to get involved with a new board game company called Play to Z, which is Zeb Slashinger, formerly or the founder of Z-Man Games. And he is absolutely fantastic. And it's a great company, real excited to be part of it. And I'm proud of that. So, that's what I'm doing now in the board gaming industry.
Those early days, I remember, man. It's like Gamma and then MeepleCon right back to back. And I was like, it was such an amazing just break, because Gamma was nothing but work.
Right.
And then MeepleCon was like,
It's funny, Sam, that you bring that up, because I remember all three of you, right? All three of you, Tom, Sam, and Z, are very hardworking guys. They're great people, and I remember you guys were always like, "Hey, Tim, what do you want us to do? Like, what are we supposed to be doing?" And we were just like, "Hey, we just want you to play games with people." The next year you come back, "Tim, what are we supposed to be doing? What do you want us to do?" We just want you to play games with people. So,
I get you. Well, I mean, it's like, when I can't speak for Tom and Z, but I'm sure they're similar. When somebody brings you into a convention, you want to make sure that they feel like they're getting their money's worth, so to speak. Yeah. So it's like, you brought me here. What am I supposed to do? Just play games. Okay. Exactly. What else?
See, the thing about it is great with the events that the Dice Tower does is because all of you people, become sort of untouchable, right? You become people just on a screen, whether it's YouTube or whatever you're doing. So it's always great to have the opportunity, especially in this industry, that the gaming thing, that's what it's all about. It's community, it's interaction, it's socialism.
Yeah.
Right? Not socialism, socializing. And so it's great to actually be able to touch the crew, interact with them, talk to them, play games with them. And that's what, it's just all about.
Yeah, I totally get that. I think that's one of the reasons why we focus so highly on live things on the flip side. It it honestly doesn't get that many views. So it's not really an engine to generate more views, more subscribers, but it definitely carries that feeling of connection, that feeling of community that we are really kind of focused on here at the flip side. My wife and I are very much that way. We run 2 board game nights a month. One is at our church, and then one is at a local coffee shop here in town. And that's the whole reason why we do that. It's just for the community aspect, meeting new people, and growing not just the hobby, but growing relationships within the hobby. I've always kind of tried my best to kind of battle against that idea of being untouchable, because I'll tell people this from day one. I put my pants on just like you guys do. You know what I'm saying? It's just that way. I'm just a dude that happens to have a camera, and it's just one of those things where people have this almost kind of bigger version of us than they really should, because we're just dudes, we're just people. And so it's really fun to kind of step into different areas and opportunities that allow you to kind of break down that wall.
Right, but that's just inherently what happens with media, right? Because you are on a screen, so people just view you that way. I was kind of interested. Let's talk a little bit about games, right? So, like, what we've been playing, because you said you have the 2 groups a month, and I have my game groups too. So, yeah, why don't we talk about some of the games we've been playing? How about you, Sam? Why don't you give me like 3 games that you've been playing lately?
One that I am super hot on right now, and I mean like white hot on, is this one right here. And I'm sorry if things. Okay, that was actually kind of quiet. This one right here.
Sam, you didn't. I'm not prepared.
Man, you're going to have to get on my level, brother. No, I'm just kidding. Anyway, okay, you didn't see that. I don't have a copy of the game. But yeah, actually I do. I love this guy's artwork, so I got to show it off. Lord of the Rings, Duel for Middle Earth. I love this game so far. Now, it's basically just a redone version of Seven Wonders Duel. So it's not necessarily a new game, but the theme makes the game pop now. And I mean pop in a major way. First of all, Vincent Dutrait's artwork. If you don't know who Vincent Dutrait is, you need to go find that out. It's really simple. Go to Board Game Geek, click the little engine up there so you can search, do artists, and type Vincent Dutrait's name in there, and it will pull up all of the work that he's done in the industry that's in the database at BGG. Anyway, this dude's artwork is amazing. He's my favorite artist in the board game industry. Second is probably Piero, and he's really good too. Anyway, Vincent Dutrait's artwork is what makes this game pop for me. I love it, and I wanted to buy it when I saw the cover, period. The fact that it also is a good game is secondary to me in this particular case. And you're trying to win the game in a few different ways. The first way that you can win is that the Fellowship can get Frodo and Sam to Mount Doom to throw the ring into the fire. There's a little track on there, and it's just an amazing mechanism. I love it. A little gimmicky, but this is one of those times where I don't mind the gimmick because the gimmick works. Right. Another way that the Forces of Evil can win is they can get the Nazgul to catch Frodo and Sam on that little track. So that's one way that both sides can win. Those are immediate victories. Another immediate victory is if you have presence in all 7 regions on the small little board that comes in the game. So there's a little bit of an area control mechanism there as well. And if you do that, then you will automatically win the game. Then there is one final automatic win, and that is if you can get 1 card from each of the 6 races in your alliance. There are alliance cards, the green ones. And if you can get 1 from each of the 6 races, then you will have won that way because you've basically allied yourself with everybody, and so you win. If none of those automatic triggers ends the game, then whomever has the most has presence in the most areas on the board is going to be the winner at the end of the game. And if there's a tie of that, then it's a shared victory. Lord of the Rings Duel for Middle Earth is an amazing game. It has replaced Seven Wonders Duel for me. I owned Seven Wonders Duel. I promptly got rid of it because I'm never going to play it again because I've got this. And it's basically the same game with a better theme. I was not beholden to Seven Wonders Duel at all. It was a good game, don't get me wrong, but this theme and this artwork totally made it a purchase for me.
Yeah, you know what's funny, Sam, is that's something we'll have to bring up in a later episode we'd like to talk about, but that's one of the discussions I would definitely like to get into more. But about the fact that we are so spoiled now in the gaming industry, right? Because just like you said, Seven Wonders Duel has been around for a long time, phenomenal 2-player game, great. But then, as you say, it comes along with just basically the same game, kind of, but with just the theme pasted on. And now people have a choice, not of the lesser of 2 evils, but the greater of 2 goods, for lack of a better term. You know what I mean? So it's so tough now because there are so many good games to choose from, right?
It's definitely a first world problem. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah,
It's one of
100%.
those things where you really do have to kind of put your own research into it and do things. I don't know. You can almost, in a way, kind of customize your own board game collection now because, well, I don't
Yes.
like that version of the game. I'm going to buy this version because it has that IP on it that I like better.
Yep.
But it's a cool thing. But yeah, it is one of those things where, it seems like sometimes publishers are just printing money at this point.
It's because they have the audience, and we're gonna spend the money too. We're gonna
Yeah,
give it to them for sure. Well,
exactly.
that leads into what I've been playing lately. Because again,
Okay.
this is sort of like the first world problem, the thing about the great games, but unconscious mind. And
Oh,
they hit a home run with this game, as far as I'm concerned.
yeah.
And the production, the look, the theme, everything about it. So, what Unconscious Mind generally is about Sigmund Freud and dreams, and it's based with his contemporaries in the day. And the gameplay is like you can I forgot the term, but present your ideas at a table where they're sitting around presenting ideas. And then you can also go into the city, to different parts of the city, run into your contemporaries, go to different venues in the city like that. And then you get to treat your clients from a lot of the insights and stuff you've learned. It has
Hmm.
three basic mechanics, right? It's got the I don't want to say necessarily worker placement, action selection, I guess would be more of a better term, where you're actually placing these little thought or quote bubbles, whatever you call them, speech
Sure.
bubbles onto the board to take your action. So it's got
Hmm.
like worker placement, action selection. It's also got
Yeah.
engine building, because you
Wow.
can take your tiles and you lay them out. Then after you present your idea or state your idea, you then journal, right? And that moves your little ink thing around, and then you
Yeah.
run that little engine. And then it's got the geez, I can't think of the third term I was thinking of. But anyway, it's just a fantastic game. And I'm one of those kind of players who's not really into sort of theme a whole lot. I just like the puzzle of games, right? So
Hmm.
I don't really care if it's like this. It could just be a green thing, or it could just be a triangle, like, to me, right?
Sure.
That's
Sure.
But man, it's so nice being immersed and involved in the theme of this game.
Hmm.
Because you are gathering these insights, you have your patients, two of them after the first one gets, the grief layer comes off. Then you always have two in your offices, and you just have these patients there waiting to be treated, or you're working on them, and you just gather these insights. You take off the replay, and it's so nice to see the evolvement of your work with your patients, right?
That's
You
cool.
gather these insights, you treat them, their grief layer comes off. It's just really, really good. And the production again of the game is fantastic. And you know what's interesting is it's not one of those games. It's sort of, I want to say it's complicated in the fact that you don't have to think like one or two steps ahead. You got to sort of think like 6, 7, 8 steps ahead, because there's a lot
Sure.
of things that lead and combo into each other, right?
Hmm.
So in that sense, there's a lot of complexity, because you have to map out like a big, 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 big plan to your game. But we've seen it all before, right? We've
Right.
seen the replacement, we've seen the engine building, we've seen all of that stuff before. And resource management, that was the third thing, because you manage your resources, your insights, and all that kind
Gotcha.
of stuff. So we know
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff, but it's just a matter of how you piece them together, put them together. It's just phenomenal. The one sort of drawback I have to say about the game is the individual turns can be a little long,
Sure.
because there's a lot of sort of, I don't know whether you want to say cascading, comboing, whatever you want to call it, but this can lead into that, blah 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 blah.
Yep.
But other than that, I know everybody at the Dice Tower, they who reviewed it, they all gave it nines. I would be on
Yep.
the same page. I think the
Yeah.
game is absolutely phenomenal.
Yep. Yep. Well, yeah, that's man. Vincent Dutrait's artwork is in this one as well. Yeah, it's interesting to hear you say that you're not really a person that cares much about theme, but in this particular case, it was really cool to envelop yourself into that theme
Oh
as
yeah,
you were figuring out that puzzle.
yes,
Because
yeah,
I've always been a person who, if, I'll like a substandard game, mechanically speaking, if it's got the right theme on it,
mhm,
and I enjoy that theme. I'll have a great time playing that game. Maybe not as much as I would a more robust, mechanically speaking game, but I still enjoy games that have the right themes on them that I enjoy. In the recent past, games that have generally been more focused upon mechanically driven games like Euro games and so forth that are not really necessarily worried about marrying the theme and the mechanisms together. That tide has shifted a little bit, and because I've seen a lot of Euro games that have come out that are super thematically sound.
Right.
And I think this is one of the most recent ones, apparently. I'm not as much of a heavier gamer. It depends. There are certain games that are super heavy that I do enjoy. TI4, Blood Rage, those kinds of things. They're not, Blood Rage isn't super heavy, but it's heavier. But more often than not, the weight that I like for games is right in between that 2.5 to maybe 3 out of 5. Because more often than not, the heavily thematic games are a little bit lighter. But it's just great that you say that because you're starting to get it. Theme does matter.
Hold on a second. Hold on a second.
See how I backed you in the corner there?
You did. Absolutely. Starting to get it there. Okay. Here's the thing. I have to admit that because there were 4 designers on this game, and it's again, it's one of those kind of things I would have to say that they sort of forced me in or force the player into the theme. And I say that with like a really like praise, right? And because it's unavoidable. It's unavoidable to play this game, as far as my opinion. It's unavoidable to play this game as I usually play most of my games. Oh, I don't care. I'm getting this thing to do that, doesn't matter. Yeah. It is literally, in my opinion, unavoidable. You have to sort of immerse yourself and play the game with the theme. And it's so good. It's
good.
Really...
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I would love to have a super thematic game to follow that up with, but I'm actually going to hit you up now with an abstract strategy game. Again with the box, yeah. This one right here, Umbrella. Now, again, I'm a little bit of a fanboy because this is Vincent Dutrait's artwork as well. But in my defense, it was the thing that kind of brought it up and put it on the radar for me. But I was able to play this with Alex from Board Game Co. And a few other guys at Dice Tower East this year, and he was able to teach it to me. He did an amazing job, taught it in like 8 minutes. Guy talks a million miles an hour, but he's a great guy. Anyway, he taught this to us, and I immediately was like, dude, I love this game. Now, it is basically abstract strategy. All you're really doing is you're moving these different umbrellas around on these different player stages to get them into the same formations as these little tiles that are on the top of your player area. And once you've done that, you're going to be able to score points for them. And you take one of those scoring discs and you put it on a color that matches the color that you used to make that pattern. And the game will end in a few different ways. There's a certain number of scoring discs that are available in the game. So when those scoring discs are gone, the game will be over. Another way to end it is if one person gets all of their spots on their scoring bar filled. So, and there are 10 spots there. So if one person gets 10 scoring discs placed down, then that will end the game. And then you tabulate to see who had the highest score. And then finally, if one person is able to get all of their figure tiles, which are the patterns that you're trying to get your umbrellas into, if one person can get all of their tiles off their board, then that will end the game as well. And then you count up to see how many points. You're going to get points for 2 points for however many scoring discs you have on your scoring bar. Then certain groups on your scoring bar are going to score you bonus points. So if you get a group of two that are right next to each other, then that'll score you an additional 3 points. If you get a group of three that are together, then that'll score you an additional 5 points. And then if you get four that are together, that'll score you an additional 8 points. And then there's a few other scoring things in there. And it's basically whoever gets the most points is the winner. So it's very much just an abstract strategy game. And it's also kind of it feels like at the very beginning, it feels like very much a multiplayer solitaire game, because you're really just focused on your particular stage. But there's a lot of interaction that comes into it, because there are waiting areas on either side of you in between your neighbors that both of you can pull from to pull umbrellas into your stage. And then there's also a center one that everybody can pull from down into their stage. And basically what you're doing, the direction that you pull an umbrella from into your stage, it pushes the other umbrella on the other side out into the one that's in the other opposite stage. So if I pull from the center, it's going to push an umbrella into my personal waiting area, which if you have umbrellas in your personal waiting area at the end of the game, they're negative points for you. But if I use one of those personal ones and push it up into my stage, then that pushes one off the top of my stage into the middle area. So there's interaction that way, because when you are sliding an umbrella into your stage, you're actually pushing one into this other waiting area, which makes it available for your other person. So you have to keep an eye on what they're doing, and you don't necessarily want to give them the stuff that they want or that they can use to make it easier for them. Additionally, when you finish one of those figure tiles on your board, you're going to give it to the person on your left. And now that it becomes one that they have to do as well. So it's a really neat, interactive, abstract strategy game. And usually I would be like, no, thank you, because
Not your
it's
time,
just super dry. There's no theme there. But it's so colorful. It super pops on the table. And that's the draw for me for abstract strategy games. It has to look good. I have a moniker almost that says games that look good are more fun to play. And that can go with just artwork. That can go with component quality, whatever it might be. If the toy factor is there, then it's going to be inherently more fun to play than if it was just a bunch of black and white discs out there on a black and white board.
You gave a whole lot of credit to that Vincent Dutray for his artwork. So yeah, I mean, I agree with you 100% that aesthetics, the look, the components definitely help with the game. Yes.
Absolutely. But that is Umbrella Sliding in the Rain from Pandasaurus Games, and it had a team of designers, Benoit Turpin and Flavian Dauphin. So that's one that I've just recently got. I just did a review of it on the Dice Tower. That's going to actually went up a few hours ago today, but it's a great game.
So one of the things that I've told Tom before, and you run into the same category, is I'm like, I don't know if I'd like your job, Tom, because you have to play new games all the time, right? That's his job. And and Tom's response, he goes, you know what? He goes, there are probably people who play more games than I do, because I do play a lot of games. He goes, but I would dare say that nobody plays more bad games than I do. And that's sort of like another drawback of the job, right? Because he you guys have to do that. So the reason I'm bringing that up is I'm fortunate in the fact that I get to play a lot of just the games I love, right? And over and over again. So one of the games I've been playing a lot recently, we've been playing weekly for like the past month, because I got my deluxe super Kickstarter of Teotihuacan. And that is favorite games of all time. The components, what they did, how they upgraded the Super Deluxe Kickstarter was fantastic. The insert's a whole nother story. I'm not getting into that. There's been a lot of complaints about it. They did not do a good job with that.
No,
they didn't. And what's funny is I just ordered a deluxe one off of Etsy. The deluxe Kickstarter inserts. Yeah. It's not good. But so I'm not going to get a whole lot into Teotihuacan because it's been for a while. But let me tell you, I love that game. I love puzzle games. Those are the type of games I like. Teotihuacan fits all of like the niches I like in these games. And it's just fantastic. I mean, there are plenty of reviews. I'm sure the Dice Tower's done a review on it. You can go and look at it. So like I said, I'm not going to talk about it a whole lot, but I do love the fact the components are beautiful. The gameplay is fantastic. and I've really, really been enjoying playing the modules. We've added 6 of the 8 that they played, so we've got 2 more to add, then to play the whole full end thing. But I'm looking forward to getting to play the whole, full Monty of the whole game, everything out there, and really excited. It's a fantastic game, and I'm loving every single time I play it.
Man, I could be wrong, but I think the last time I played this game was with you on the cruise.
Oh, that's probably right. Yeah, I remember. Yeah. Uh-huh.
That's the last time I played this game.
Wow, that was
And
a few years
man,
ago.
oh man, this is a heavy game. I remember everybody, I mean everybody, could not pronounce the name of this game when it first come out. If you go back and listen to those, you're like, oh, that's how you pronounce it? No. That's how you pronounce that? I don't. That doesn't sound right. But that was funny. But yeah, dude, there's so much going on in this game, and it is definitely one of those like games that I can definitely see the genius of it, the awesome design choices that were made. But man, oh man, is this not a game for me? But really? Here's the thing. Yeah, well, here's the thing. I have no interest in the theme, and that coupled with the heaviness of the game, it's just I mean, I see that it's a good game, but I just don't have an interest in it. But you take that same level of difficulty or complexity and put it into a game like Ezra and Nehemiah, and the design spaces that his name just left me, S.J. McDonald and Shem Phillips.
Yep.
Yeah, when that team, just something about that team coupled with the theme of rebuilding the walls of Jerusalem after the Babylonian captivity, that's a match. And so that means that, and I enjoy that game. I used to own that game. I traded it to JT, my buddy on the channel, because he bought Middle Ages, and Middle Ages is like a game that's super light comparatively, and it'll hit the table more during game nights. And if I ever want to play Ezra and Nehemiah, I'll just, hey, JT, let's play Ezra and Nehemiah. So we traded for that game, but I actually had it and I owned it. I did buy it as well. And it's one of those things where the theme makes up for the difference in difficulty that I'm usually comfortable with, if that makes sense.
No, absolutely. And I definitely agree with you that a lot of that, like, especially for me, because I'm in like Teotihuacan, and again, don't quote me on this, but I think they're about probably that period or whatever is about 800 years before the Aztecs and the Mayas. But I'm really into ancient, like the Mexico culture, civilization, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So that's why it also is very special to me as well.
Yeah, that's cool. I dare say before we move on to my third one, I think you're more involved with theme than you think you are, Tim.
I could be. Maybe I still want to admit it.
All right. Well, the last one that I'm going to talk about today is a game that we just played last night on the channel. We kind of corner off Tuesdays to be a day that we just talk about and play older games. Last night we played Smash Up. Now, we played Smash Up. Smash Up is actually from 2012.
Yeah.
Can you believe that? 2012. This thing is 12 years old already. But we actually only used the decks from this one, which isn't as old as that. But the game, which really hasn't changed except for little minor differences in the different decks that come out in the new sets, it really hasn't changed that much. You're basically just, you take 2 different faction decks, and those faction decks are then shuffled together, and that makes a new, different faction. So last night I had the Avengers and the Spidey and Friends. So that was my faction. And then Jesse had the Shield agents and the Ultimates, which was like, people like Captain Marvel and that kind of stuff. And then Shield agents, Agent Coulson and a bunch of dudes in armor, that kind of stuff. So that was her faction. And my faction was the 2 that got put together. And then there's going to be bases that are out on the table that have a number, which is usually like anywhere from 18 to like 25 or something like that. And whenever you're playing cards. On your turn, you can play one character and then one action card in that order. And sometimes the cards will allow you to play more than that. But as a basis, you're playing one character and one action. And you don't have to play either or, but you have the ability to do that. And when you play a character out onto a base, it's going to add that power to the base, or rather, it's going to start adding power to the base's breaking point, which is the number that's listed on the top of the card. And there are 3 numbers on the base. The person that's in first gets the highest number. The person that's in second gets the second highest, and so forth and so on. And you keep doing that until somebody reaches 15 points. And if you both reach 15 points at the same time, then you keep playing until that tie is broken. It's really simple game. It's not really a deck builder because you're not building your deck, but you're kind of constructing it by choosing the 2 factions that you're going to smash together. But even deck construction doesn't really make sense a whole lot because you're not literally constructing the deck like you would in a Magic deck or anything like that. You're simply taking 2 decks and smashing them together, and it makes for some really fun combinations. And at this point, there's umpteen million factions that are out there that you can kind of put together, and so the number of combinations is infinite.
Right. Yeah. And I do remember when the game came out, that was one of the sort of big appeals to a lot of people, that you could be like, I don't really know them all, but you could be a fairy princess and you could get Frankenstein and put the deck together, and have a fairy princess Frankenstein deck or whatever.
Yeah.
That was like one of the big appeals.
Yeah, or like a pirate ninjas, or Frankenstein ninjas, or there's so many different combinations, and that really is the appeal. So it was really neat to pull that back down off the shelf, and also remember how much I enjoyed the game. But I was also able to, because I'd never played the Marvel one before, so I was able to break that in and see how those really work together. And it was a great, fun little time. And it was the first time my wife had ever played it, and she was able to kind of catch on pretty quickly. She likes to read all of the cards and all that kind of stuff, so that took a little bit longer, but she was able to grok what was going on, and it was a close game.
Right, and that, again, this goes back to what we were talking about before. So fortunate with our love, our passion, our hobby of board gaming, where I remember, owning a retail store where people would come in and they'd want every single expansion of Smash Up, and they would have them all. They were so into it, playing it. It's a great game. People loved it. People bought, everything. But people have moved on. Why? Because there's just good stuff coming out all the time. But that doesn't mean it's not a good game anymore. It just gets pushed back, right? So that's why, again, we're so fortunate that this hobby is giving us so much, or there is so much available for us out there to play. It's just really, really good. My third one, again, it's a classic, an older game that's been around, and I just love visiting them. And again, this was a game that would go into my top 50, 25, whatever. It was Concordia. I absolutely love Concordia. It's just such a great game. I was so intrigued. I remember when I first played the game, or first learned the game when it came out, about the fact that your starting cards, or your hand, you can build. So, I mean, it's not really a deck builder, but you know what I mean? You add cards to your deck, but it's like your turn is dictated by the cards you play, and then you got to like refresh your hand. I really remember the first time playing that, how I was just so intrigued by that mechanic, that whole concept of that, because again, how we grow up, you roll dice, you move, things like that. There's no sort of variability, or you don't have a choice of when your sort of turn ends, or you can't do anything more, or what you do, or all that kind of stuff. So I was really good. And again, just playing it last night, I would have to definitely put that in the category of one of my comfort games. Yeah, that I just love playing Concordia. It makes me feel good. It is a comfort game. I really enjoy it. I am just so enamored, for lack of a better term, with the way the game operates, the way it plays. And I'm just the basic guy, right? With the base game of Concordia.
Yeah.
I haven't got. I mean, I played the what is it, Salsa, I think it's called. I played that.
Yeah.
I haven't gotten into Venus or a lot of the other kind of things. Just the basic game to me is just a comfort game. I love revisiting it, love playing it, and I have a great time every single time I do.
I think Concordia Salsa is one of the only ways that I've played the game. I don't know that I've played just base game. I think that I have played with Salsa though when it came out. But that's a good game. It's a good game. And that term you used, comfort game, that's interesting. I think we'll have to come back and revisit that because
we definitely should. Yes.
That's an interesting concept of a game that you know so well. It's just, you're not stressing about
Correct.
am I getting this rule right or anything like that. And when you can play a game where everybody is like that, we all know the game well, we all can just kind of chill and relax and enjoy the game. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And again, there's a lot of things in the cover game that'll definitely be a topic we will come up with. So that's. But just want to real quick mention about Dice Tower West, as you can see it right here. No, man, it's weird with the cameras, right? It's the opposite direction. Dice Tower West is coming up in March. But the first event for Dice Tower is actually the cruise. I'm not quite sure. You might want to check to see Jason, go to the website if there are still rooms available, because that's coming up in January. I'm not sure if there are, but check to see if that. Then the next Dice Tower event will be Dice Tower West in Las Vegas. So, folks, again, this will be our 6th year for Dice Tower West. Sam will be there. The Dice Tower crew, all the East will be there. Other guests, publishers, content creators. And it's going to be the same great thing. We're at a new venue at the Westgate Resort, which has the monorail right in it, connected to the strip, so you can get to anywhere. So that's going to be fantastic. We have all the games. I got about 60 games, whatever, from Essen. All new games coming out. The library's built. We got the same tournaments, events. It's just going to be great. We got a whole lot about it. March 5th through 9th, 2025. You can go to dicetowerwest.com right now. Book your hotel room, get your badge. But please come out and join us in Las Vegas in March for some great games. And the biggest thing, don't forget, is it's right here in Las Vegas. So you've got the Sphere, you've got the restaurants, you've just got everything here in Vegas to enjoy as well. So come a day or two early, stay a day or two later, and then get to enjoy this fabulous city of Las Vegas while you're out here as well.
It's one of my favorite conventions to go to every year, and it has been kind of one of the staples that has always kind of been in that family of conventions of those ones that I want to go to, and it's I think it's just the caliber, if I can put it that way, the caliber of people, the spirit of the people that go to Dice Tower East, Dice Tower West, is just so welcoming. And I feel absolutely comfortable bringing my entire family to these conventions because of that.
Yes.
Do I bring them to Gen Con? No, I don't think I'm going to. What about Origins? Well, it's smaller, definitely, but Dice Tower East, Dice Tower West, those are the two that I know for a fact, beyond the shadow of a doubt, I can bring my family to these, and they're going to be safe, and they're going to be welcomed. They're not going to be looked down upon because they're kids, or they're not going to be looked down upon because they're not totally enwrapped up in the hobby. And so I really enjoy that about these. So absolutely, if you can get to Dice Tower West, you need to at the very least look into it.
Please do. Yes. Check us out. But we wanted to discuss a couple of things that we may have seen in the Dice Tower recently that we just sort of like maybe rebut or talk about or give our opinions about like that. And so Tom, Sam, what was something that you've recently seen on the Dice Tower that you'd like to sort of respond to or just give your 2 cents about?
Well, and it's going to come up a little bit later on, but this is something that I've been thinking about lately, and that is I saw Tom's like 3-4 minute review of Clans of Midgard. This is a new game that's kind of like a roll and write from Gray Fox Games, and it's within their Champions of Midgard universe. It's a Viking game, and he gave it a real kind of dismissive almost review. And part of his reasoning was it was a lot like another game that he mentioned. And honestly, I can't even remember the name of the game that he said it was a lot alike. And so that kind of tells you something there. He also, and this is where I'll draw most contention, he said it's just another Viking game.
Now,
Au contraire, mon frère.
Okay, hold on.
I mean, come on.
Yeah, I want to interrupt you real quick, Sam. However, you have to admit you have a thing for Vikings.
I do.
Okay, so
I do.
Moving forward,
but here's the thing.
Right. Okay, go ahead. Okay.
Why is that a bad thing?
No,
that's not a bad thing. No, I'm not out there talking about all these people with all their city games like Concordia and all this other stuff. There's a million and one of those things, and I'm not saying, well, it's just another city game.
No, I know. I'm not saying that. However, people have to keep in mind that Sam has a big thing for Vikings. That's all I'm saying. I'm just saying you do.
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Sue me. But I'm just saying. So anyway, I all I'm saying is let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater. I've been playing this game, and my initial impression of the game is that it's kind of like a Blood Rage roll and write. And I'm a huge fan of Blood Rage. So maybe that has something to do with it, but I'm not disliking this game right now. I've never heard of the game that Tom said that this is a very similar to. So I don't care about that argument at all. I'm going to be revisiting this. I'm going to be giving a review on the Dice Tower as well. I can't promise that I'm going to give it high marks because I'm not done play testing it yet. But let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater just yet. Let the Viking fan give his word on it, and then we'll see what happens.
All right. I'm going to be waiting for that. It's going to be interesting to see exactly where you go, because I'm sure you're going to get a couple more plays in.
Yeah, I am.
Maybe different player counts and all that kind of stuff, and I'd like to see where you arrive at when you present your review and see how different it is from Tom's thoughts.
Currently, I've only played a 2-player with my wife a few times, so it's just one of those times where I have to get more plays. I want to get more people around it, and we'll see how it goes.
Good. We'll be waiting for that. Well, you know what I saw? This was a couple weeks ago, but the Dice Tower did the worst type of gamers. I believe it was like a bracket thing they did, and I can't, whatever. I thought, and of course, it's funny, right? You may know this with the algorithm or YouTube and all that kind of stuff. It is funny how I guess negative titles or words sort of conjure up more views, or you know what I mean, like, right?
Yeah.
Because if you had a title called "The Nicest Gamers," it probably wouldn't get as many views, right? Or whatever.
It won't.
Right. So it was a very interesting topic. And how they did it, this versus that, blah, 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 blah. And I just got to say, one of my individual ones, of course I could, I'd have loved to give more input on that or be on a show like that with those kind of things, is, to me, I guess one of the worst things is probably the AP gamer. Is probably, to me, one of the worst, because it kind of just brings down the whole table. And sometimes you alter your play because you're just like, man, I'm just going to do whatever because I want to get this game over with.
Yes.
It's just taking forever.
Yes.
It just kind of ruins the whole thing. But so go check out both. Make sure, check out Tom's review or his 3 or 4 minute overlook, whatever you want to say, of the Clans of Midgard. So that way you can be ready for when Sam talks about it. And then also go watch the worst type of gamers and see how they talked about the worst type of gamers against each other.
Yep.
Okay, so we got a little bit of time left, and one of the things I wanted to talk about is We just want to get into topics, right? And again, folks, thank you so much for watching this first episode of
Yeah.
what Sam and I are trying to do here, because we're flushing it out. This is our first one, and one of the things that we're definitely going to do moving forward is come up with a topic sort of that relates to the board gaming industry in some way, and
Hmm.
have a little bit deeper discussion. We won't get too long this time, but what we're going
Right.
to do talk about today is Sam in Board Game Smorgasbord, I believe it was, correct?
Yep.
You had a segment in there where you talked about not calling games easy. I don't want to put
Right.
words in, but
Yeah.
real quick, Sam, before we start the discussion, if you can just give like a minute, a brief little quick overview
Sure.
of
Yeah.
exactly what you meant with the
Yeah.
topic about not calling games easy.
Well, the segment that I have on Smorgasbord is called Gateway Corner. And so basically, what I do, I mentioned it earlier, my wife and I run 2 board game events a month. We do one at my church, and then we do one at a local coffee shop here in town. And so that's what we do. We host game events. We're trying to build community within our town. We get a lot of people that are new to the hobby. We also get a lot of people that are not new to the hobby. My whole point here, a couple of weeks ago, I started that segment. It's been running longer than this, but a couple of weeks ago, I came up with this idea and put some more thought into it, and then recorded it. Where if we call a game easy, we could be doing more damage than good. And the reason is because if we call a game, if we say, "Hey, let's sit down and play this game. It's really easy, super simple," you'll grab it. And then we get halfway into the game, and people are still not getting it. Well, now they're going to feel like they're not as smart as you are, or they're going to feel stupid because you said that this game was easy and I'm not getting it because this is brand new to me. So I feel stupid now. People process information differently. So
Right.
what might be easy for me may not be easy for you. People, when they're trying new things, they already have kind of a decimated view of their ability to do that new thing, whatever it might be, whether it's board gaming or underwater basket weaving or skydiving, whatever it is. They're going to come at that with less confidence than they probably should. Because I found that most of the time, when people say, I don't know about that, I don't know if I'm going to be able to handle that," if they just give it a try and they're actually able to do it. And a lot of times they're able to do it very well. This is almost like kind of the flip side of the same coin. If we say that a game is too easy, we don't want them to think that we're underestimating them. All right. Because I'm putting an easy game in front of you because, well, you don't look like you can handle anything else. That might be offensive as well. The second week that I was talking about this, I came up, offered this idea of the Ford method. The Ford method is just a way that you can generate more conversation, more communication with people. And it boils down to 4 different areas of life that people are generally willing to talk about, even with people that they don't know, strangers. And that is family, occupation, recreation, or things that you do for fun, and dreams. And those are 4 areas of life that people are usually willing to talk about. And so the second week I said, if you find yourself in this gateway type of situation, instead of coming at that situation with just, "Hey, I want to get this person to play this game with me." No, don't do that. You want to build a relationship with that person. You don't want them to just fill a spot at the table tonight and now you don't care after that. No, you're building a relationship. So what's the best way to do that? To start communicating with them. That's kind of the whole thing that I'm talking about, is that instead of just getting people down to the table to play a game and now you don't care after that, no, we're trying to open up relationships. We're trying to open up community within the industry. So that's kind of the whole idea there.
Right, but staying with sort of like calling a game easy, because
Yeah,
those four things I understand are great, but you might not need those 4 things with a cousin or an uncle,
you're
because
correct. Absolutely.
but still talking about easy, you still have to explain it to them using the term easy. So I just want to make sure we stay on that topic of calling a term easy, right? Because
Yeah,
it's just not about somebody you don't know. It could be explaining it to people you do know about
correct.
calling it easy. So I agree with you on some of the things about why you shouldn't say easy, about you don't want to make people feel stupid,
Hmm.
all those things you said I agree with.
Hmm.
However, easy is a term that people understand,
Yes.
right? So I think it should be, I think what it is, a lot of it we have to look upon ourselves at how we use it, and we may be using it incorrectly. And what I mean by that is,
Okay. Yes.
if I'm talking to you, if I'm talking to Tom, I can say easy, knowing your experience and your level, knowing that you will understand what I mean, right? Because I can,
Correct.
for example, say, hey, yeah, Splendor, that's a real easy game. But for
Yes.
somebody who only plays Yahtzee, Splendor is not an easy game, right?
Correct.
So you have to really know who you're talking to. Now,
Yes.
so one of my things is, when I was hearing you talk about this, is I still think we should use the term easy. However, I think you as an individual, or us as individuals, need to make sure we have clearly defined easy for the audience we're speaking to. Now, a lot of us don't have the same experiences. And what I mean by that is, I have the experience of being in a retail store trying to sell a game to somebody who walks in. I know nothing about them, right?
Yes.
So I have to use the term easy, knowing that, right? That I don't know anything about this person.
Yeah.
So my definition or parameters for saying easy are, for example, I'll give you the perfect example, is just one. Okay. Because
Mm-hmm.
I can literally take just one off the shelf. On the back, I believe it had 1, 2, 3 things.
Yes.
I could say, hey, you do this, you do this, you do that.
Yep.
And they're like, oh, okay, great. That is easy. Okay. Because they can grasp it, understand it, and I can explain it in literally 30 seconds, a minute. That is easy. Okay.
Yeah.
So the problem with your discussion, or the topic about easy, in my mind, is we have to make sure that we understand who we're saying that to. Because
Yes.
easy to that person who walks in the retail store, who I know nothing about, is different than me saying easy to you.
You're absolutely correct, and I absolutely agree with you. And you're actually getting the complete message of what I'm trying to get across. With that first discussion about we shouldn't use the word easy, think context. For example, if I'm coming into, like you said earlier, a game group with myself, JT, one of my other gaming buddies, Brian, and some other guys that go to my church that I know like the heavier games as well. If I come into that context and it's me explaining the game, I am absolutely free to use the word easy, because within that parameter, within that context, I can say, based on what I know of those people, that this game is simple. But if I am within the context of a gateway situation where I am hosting a game night and this person walks in the door and I don't know them from Adam or Eve, then if I come to them and say, let's just take a game like Isle of Skye. Isle of Skye, fairly simple concepts, not difficult at all to gamers. But if I say this is a game that is simple and easy to understand, and now we sit down and play it, now they are having an issue with, well, I don't know how much money I should use to set the prices of these 3 tiles or these 2 tiles that are in front of me. And I don't know which one to get rid of, because I don't know what gaming, I don't know what's going to score points, and I don't know how they're going to score points. And now we have come to a point where, for me, the gamer, this is a really simple, fun game. But for them, as a new gamer coming to this has a lot of complex strategic choices that have to be made. Yes, on a lesser level, I get it, for gamers, but for someone who has come in playing Sorry and Hi-Ho Cheerio and Shoots and Ladders as a kid, and they're coming into this new hobby, now I'm introducing this easy game that has a lot of complex decisions that have to be made. They're going to feel dumb, because I have told them, the host of the event, I have told them, this is an easy game. You won't have a problem. And now they're having a problem with it.
That's right.
That's difficult. That's a difficult thing to overcome. Now I'm running the risk of that person not coming back because they play a bunch of games I've never heard of, and they say that they're easy. They're not easy. So maybe this isn't for me.
Correct.
So we've
Yeah.
just done our hobby more damage than we have done good, because we use a single word that meant one thing to them and it means something else to me. Can I use the word easy when I'm talking to you or somebody else that I know is a seasoned gamer? Absolutely. But if you're talking to somebody new that you don't know anything about them, I think you should open up conversations even before that first choice. Like what I usually do is we usually bring, I don't know, we usually bring 40 games to game night. Are we going to play all 40 of those games? Absolutely not. There's no way. But I have a choice. I have choices that are there, and I'll stand there and I'll say, what pops out at you? What game looks like it would be interesting? And they'll say, well, that looks interesting. And I'll turn the box, and just like you said about with just one, I'll turn the box over. Okay, well, you're going to do this, you do this, you do this, you do this. What does that sound like to you? Does that sound like fun? Well, yeah, maybe. Well, what about this one over here? And we'll have a discussion about a couple of different games. You have to communicate with people instead of just saying, hey, come play this game with me. It'll be easy. It'll be fun. You got to ask some questions first to get to know them, like you were saying earlier, and then make that educated decision.
Right. I mean, I agree with you in a sense. Again, because we're it depends on the situation, right? Because I'm talking about somebody walking in a retail store.
Absolutely does.
A community night where you maybe have a couple hours with this person, so you have
Sure.
time for a conversation. So in the context of, like I was saying with a retail store, I think there is there is clearly what is an easy game, right? Like Just One, I would argue is clearly easy. I don't care what the situation is, right?
You are absolutely correct.
Can grasp it.
Party games, generally speaking, are easy, and they're done that way on purpose.
Right, but then you take a game, and this is what I mean is again, because I just had years of doing it in the retail store, where you just have to really get into the minutia. For example, a game like Skull, right? You're familiar with Skull?
Yes.
Okay, Skull, I would not say is an easy game, right? Because there's a little bit that people still have to understand to really fully sort of get it. Right.
Yep.
But again, there are a lot of people like us who are gamers with, oh, come on, Skull's easy. Now you're doing it a disservice, because there's a big difference between Just One or say Jenga than Skull. Right.
Yeah.
And that's what I mean.
You're correct.
Just One, clearly easy. Another game I would say is Wonky or Catch the Moon, if you know those games. Right. Mm-hmm. Wonky is basically Jenga with cards. Right? You just play a card and you place it. I would argue that's clearly easy for anybody. Like, hey, just play a card. What does a card say? Play the big purple. You stack the big purple. Like, that's clearly easy. And that's what I mean is I think, so I don't want to necessarily dismiss using the word easy. I think that we have to have a talk with ourselves as an individual, look in the mirror, however you want to say it, and clearly understand, okay, yes, Just One, Jenga are easy. Skull, come on, it's not easy.
You're correct. You're correct.
But Six Nymph is not easy. People need a couple turns to really grasp it. It's kind of where one turn people can grasp. And that's King of Tokyo. One round, since I did it for years with Yellow, after one round, if there are 4 or 5 people fully understand it.
Yep.
But it's not an easy game, right? They still need to see
correct
turns, then they grasp it and get it.
Actually, King of Tokyo and King of Monster Island, those two in conjunction, those two games were one of the first times in a gateway situation, because I've pulled both of them out in gateway situations, and both of them are one of the first times that I actually started thinking about this in this light, that maybe this isn't an easy game per se, because there are other things going on, and it takes you some time to understand it. Are there concepts easy? Yes, but when you have easy concept A, B, C, D, and E, and they're all working together, now it's not so easy anymore. That's the only thing that I'm talking about. You said it very well when you said you need to have a conversation with yourself in the mirror. You need to have a strategy when you go into these different situations. Maybe think about the words that you're using to describe these games a little bit more before you get into the situation. because you might be doing yourself or the game or the person you're talking to, as you said earlier, a disservice in miscategorizing the game for that particular person. My main point with all of this is you need to put more thought into game nights and gateway situations than just, I need to get these people to play these games with me because I want to play the games and I need people to play games with. There has to be more thought process than that.
100%.
That's my main point here.
100%. And the thing about it, Sam, is, we both agree, right, on the whole subject about all this. It's not like we're not ascribing blame to anybody because, we've all made that mistake, right? Where we've said, hey, this is an easy game. We've all made the mistakes we're talking about we shouldn't do.
Yes.
One of the big problems, is because we love this so much. And our passion, our excitement is like, oh, this is easy. Come on, sit down. You're going to love it. I'm going to teach you. You're going to love what I love. I want you to love what I love. I want you to get this, do this. It's easy. Come on, join me. So it's just us getting overhyped, right? In getting in our own way because we just want to get these people to do the same thing we love.
Yes.
We want them to participate. And that sometimes we get in our own way. So what I think we're both trying to say, or we both agree, is, listen, we have to understand that about ourselves, right? We want this so bad. I want my coworkers. I want my relatives. I want them to do what I do. I want them to love, because I love this. So I'm going to tell them it's easy to get them to do it. But I may be making a mistake.
That's one of the coolest things that I think that about the time that we're in right now. The board game hobby is really kind of easing its way into mainstream media. You're seeing people playing board games on a lot of TV shows, in movies, and there's a lot of, if I can use the word, normalization of the board game hobby in that vein. And I think it's because it is kind of growing. Just be comfortable having the passion that you have for the hobby. And don't try to squeeze that validation out of somebody that's brand new. Because they might not like it as much as you do. And if part of your validation hinges upon them liking the hobby as much as you do, you're going to get disappointed.
And sometimes I don't necessarily think it's all about validation. I understand what you're saying, but again, you want them to love it. It's kind of like anything we do in life, like music, right? Like we all have our individual, like, greatest artists, favorite artists. And like some people could be the greatest artist in the world objectively, but you're like, I don't like their music at all. but you want your friends to like them, exactly. And they just don't. It's the same thing when it comes to this hobby. But that was very interesting, Sam, and it's a really, really good topic. And again, I think we just have to make sure that with the validation you're talking about, with using the word easy, with whatever we're trying to do to get people to join us, we just have to be careful how we approach them and how we share our passion, because it's kind of like with anything in life, right? You sometimes don't know somebody, you just don't want to like jump, whether it's say religion or politics, or just dump something on them. You got to have the conversations, get to know them. Are they open? Are they willing, doing whatever? You just don't dump something. And it's the same thing with our board gaming hobby. Just don't dump it on. Right?
That's exactly it. We need to put more thought into why we're doing what we're doing, so that we don't do more damage than good.
Correct. Yes, because this is a great hobby, and it's something we love. Now, folks, I just want to say thank you so much. I mean, this is our first time doing this. And again, Sam's it's gonna go to the editing room, so we're not quite sure of how this is gonna come out. Because but the thing about it, one of the things we would like from you is a title. We would like a name for us, because we would like to do this, and it's just about bringing both Sam and I our thoughts from out west with Dice Tower to connect us together. That whole thing. But we really appreciate this. Please leave in the comments anything you thought about this episode. Your thoughts and ideas, things you'd like to see, maybe different segments, things you'd like to talk about. We'd definitely love to hear your input. One of the things I talked about when I did videos a long time ago was supporting the hobby, right? Now, a lot of times people think support is like maybe giving something financial or do all this kind of stuff. But a very simple push of the button to like, a very simple comment supports the channel, the video, the hobby.
Absolutely.
Okay? So things that don't need any sort of financial output on your end or anything, very simple, can help support the channels, the content creators, and all those kind of things. So please do that with us. Comment below, give a thumbs up, give a like, so we can go ahead and keep making these type of videos. Thank you so much for joining us. We're going to make this, try to make this a weekly thing to come out, have different discussions, different topics, and we will see you in the next episode. Right now, I'm Tim from Vegas saying goodbye.
I'm Sam. We'll see you guys and gals on the flip side.
There you go. Bye, everybody.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching this video. If you like this review or whatever you just watched, wasn't it amazing? Check out our channel, Dice Tower. We have all kinds of things. We review games, we do top 10s, we play games live. It's all about board games, but especially the people who play them. Check out Dice Tower YouTube channel.